Have you ever wondered how your entire home or office network can connect to the internet using just one IP address? It's not magic, it's NAT. This powerful technology allows private networks to stay secure while still having full internet access. In this video, you'll discover how NAT works, why it's crucial for modern networks, and how it saves millions of IP addresses every day. Ready to master the key to network connectivity? Stick around and let's demystify NAT together. Public and private addresses. Public addresses are used to connect to the internet, so much so that private addresses are used internally for the company. In private IP addresses, each host needs a unique IP. Private hosts who do not connect to the internet can use any address as long as it is not assigned to another machine. There are a total of 3 IP ranges, which are designated for strictly internal and therefore private use. Not all of these addresses are routed through what is known as the Internet backbone. Internet routers are all configured to eliminate all private addresses. That is to say, they are not routable on the internet. In a private intranet, these addresses can be used, and it is even rather recommended instead of public addresses. And when a network that uses private addresses wants to connect to the internet, it will then be necessary to translate private addresses into public addresses. This process, which transforms private addresses into public in order to be able to go online, is called the NAT. And the network device that takes care of the NAT is the router. Public IP addresses are used on hosts, which must be publicly accessible from the internet. Moreover, the stability of the internet depends on the fact that each public address is unique. There is an organization that ensures this stability, and that is Internetic. Today, this name has changed to make way for IENA. It is the one that carefully manages all public IPs to ensure that there are no duplicates. Because a duplicate public address would lead to enormous instability on the internet. To obtain a public IP or a block of addresses, you must contact your internet service provider. Or else, you have to contact the LIR, because they are the ones who can get IP pools from the Internet Registry in its region. As you should know, with the rapid growth of the Internet, public IP addresses are running out. This is why new mechanisms have emerged, such as the NAT, or the CIDR, or else the VLSM, and also IPv6. All of these mechanisms have been developed to overcome the problem of the lack of IPv4 addresses. Small networks usually use private addresses because it offers companies a great deal of flexibility in the design of their networks. This addressing allows for more convenient administration and easier growth. But on the other hand, with private addresses, it is not possible to surf the internet. And since there are not enough public addresses to equip the private network of all companies, the only solution is to use a mechanism that allows private addresses to be translated into public addresses. And it is the NAT that allows this IP translation to be done. Since the creation of the NAT, companies have been able to provide some or all of their employees with private addresses with the possibility of going online. NAT therefore allows private users to access the internet by sharing one or more public IP addresses. To understand the NAT mechanism, we could think of him as the receptionist of a company who manages the main number of the switchboard. If we call a customer ourselves from our office and we come across their answering machine, we will then leave them our name and ask them to call us back on the main number, the switchboard. We can compare this number to the public address. And when he calls the switchboard back, he will tell the receptionist that he wants to reach us by giving our name. The receptionist will check his number directory and link the name to the extension number. So, NAT is not only for surfing the internet. Suppose we want to communicate with another LAN network, and that network uses the same private addressing plan as ours. This often happens when two companies merge. Well, to avoid conflicts, it will be necessary to go through the NAT. There are two types of important addresses in the NAT. On to the inside local, which is the address of a host on the inside network. And we have the global inside, which is the address translated inside the local address. In the operation of NAT, the inside network is the set of networks subject to translation, and the outside network are all the other addresses, which are usually valid addresses located on the internet. For NAT, Cisco has defined several terms that you need to know. The inside local address. These are the IPs assigned to the hosts, which are private IP addresses. The term inside means the company's internal network. The inside globally address is the new braided IP address of the host to be able to go on the net. The router changes the inside local address to this inside global address. This is usually a public IP address. An example of this could be a web server. The outside global address is the IP address that resides in the outer part of the network. It therefore represents the destination IP address that the internal host wants to join. And the outside local address is the external IP of the destination host. In principle, it is identical to the global outside address. So don't panic if you don't assimilate these terms yet, because in the rest of the course, we will find them on the configuration of the different types of NAT. NAT is divided into three categories for different uses. We have static NAT. Here, the one local IP address corresponds to a single public IP address. This type of static NAT is especially useful when a device needs to be accessed from the outside, like a web server, for example. There is dynamic NAT, where multiple local IP addresses correspond to multiple public IP addresses. This type of NAT is used, for example, when two companies, which use the same private addressing plan, merge. And we have the PAT, which maps several private addresses to a single public address using different ports to track the connection. PAT is also known as NAT overload. It is a form of dynamic NAT. This is the most common use of NAT. It can be seen everywhere, whether in the workplace or even at home. This is what is used on internet boxes, which is why you can connect several PCs, tablets, phones, and all that with only one public IP.